I'd like to join us. Dear Heavenly Precious Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come here today as the County Commission. And God, I just pray that every decision we make benefit every single citizen that calls Nicholas County home. And we bring this county together and we all work together for the greater good as this commission has done for some time. And just continue the good work that this commission's done today and going forward. And in your holy and precious name, we do pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, today is May the 18th, 2022. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting of the Nicholas County Commission to order. When you guys want to start it off?
Okay, upon review of the commission minutes of March 16th, 2022, April 6th, 2022, April 20th, 2022, and April 19th, 2022, move to approve as presented.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion does carry.
Upon review of the exonerations as presented by the Nicholas County Assessor, move to approve accordingly.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Motion does carry.
Upon review of estate and fiduciary matters as presented by the Nicholas County Clerk, move to approve accordingly unless otherwise noted.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion does carry.
Upon submission of the budget revisions received from the elected officials and department heads, the Commission will take appropriate action as deemed necessary.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion does carry.
Upon review of invoices as submitted by various departmental offices, the Commission will take the appropriate action as deemed necessary.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion does carry. We have the terms of office expiring. Birch River Public Service District, Libby Kaufman, term of office expiring. It is a 6-year term. Does Libby want to serve on that again?
I think so.
I haven't heard from her, but I would assume she
Yeah,
does.
I think so, because, I'll try to get over too. I'll go ahead and make the motion to appoint Libby Kaufman to a term on the Birch River Public Service District, expiring May 24th of 2028.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion does carry. We want to establish 2 Board of Director members to the Trail Authority. And I said I would be one of them.
Okay.
Okay. Are you going to be the other one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have 2 on that. Okay, I'll need a motion for that effect.
I'll make a motion to appoint Commissioner Lloyd Atkins and Mr. Pete Connard to the Trail Authority as the representatives for Nicholas County.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion does carry. Approval of order designating local banks as county depositories for public funds.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Motion does carry. All right. Let's see where we're at. Let's take a couple-minute break.
I'll tell you what, before that, if I could, I'd like to request a unanimous consent on a moment of silence in honor of Deputy Lawson, who we lost last week at the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay, next up we have Pete Connard with the Director of the Cranberry Tri-River Race Trail. Revisit request for financial assistance for equipment. Okay.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm Pete Connor, Cranberry Tri-Rivers Rail Trail, requesting funding assistance for our 16-mile rail trail. I'm looking to get funding for a new tractor with a brush hog so we can maintain overgrowth on the trail. We don't currently have any equipment, but with actually, last session you recommended I reach out to Norval Clark, which I did. I spoke with him, and they're really having an interest in sharing. So actually, their equipment is really not proper for a 16-mile rail trail because of the size of the equipment. But I did make a point to reach out. But this equipment is a mid-size Mahindra 6126 through Lockers in Flatwoods. They gave us a deal with being a nonprofit, a $2,000 discount. This tractor is suitable size. We can maintain the overgrowth, haul gravel, timbers, materials, whatever we need to maintain our trestle bridges and things like that. The areas where we can't really get things into. We really need to, with the expansion of the trail system in Nicholas County, we really need to start representing a little bit better. And I spoke with Tracy McCoy with the Summersville CDB on trails and trying to gather information to see what all is there currently. And we could also use this equipment in Nicholas County on other trails as well, rather than just the Cranberry Tri River, just used for the whole county. I mean, that may save on future budgeting as well. But
That's true.
that's, I've been over this before, so that's pretty much all I have to say.
So you're looking at a tractor with a bucket on the front of it,
Yes,
and what are you looking at on the back of the brush hog or something like that?
it's 4-foot brush hog. It's all brand new, 7-year warranty. It's a three-cylinder engine, gear transmission. It's pretty durable. It'll withstand what we need to do with trail building and stuff like that. 7-year warranty.
Okay.
Now, this is being requested to be owned by the Cranberry Tri River Rail Trail.
Yes.
Not the Trail Alliance.
No.
Like you could
Just
work in
the-
cooperation for the use on the trails and all that. 'cause-
Right. Just owned by Cranberry Tri River Rail Trail, but
Right.
we can also use it within Nicholas County.
Now, I mean, I'm sure you have a board on that, whatever. Is that just Nicholas County, or does that go into other counties on the,
No,
that
no.
trail?
No, Cranberry Tri River Rail Trail is strictly Nicholas County.
Okay, I just wasn't sure.
But I'm just kind of putting it out there that we can use that piece of equipment within Nicholas County if there's other trails that need attention, or, you know, the Meadow Bridge has a trail that they need help with, or Camas or whatever. We can, you know, lend assistance. I don't have a
What was
problem.
the total amount on that? I'm sorry. I didn't
It's
catch it.
$24,300. That's no tax, being a nonprofit.
Right.
Okay.
But they're pretty good to work with us, so.
So you have all your paperwork on it being a nonprofit?
Yes,
We just always ask. I'm not picking on you. I just
yeah,
want to-
yeah, I can send it to you if you need
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Do you think it's big enough?
Oh, yes,
I mean, you're 16 miles is a long ways.
that's
I mean, so
specifically
really-
why I chose this particular piece of equipment. It's a mid-size, and it's more than capable of handling 16 miles rail trail with all the equipment and stuff like that.
Well, how big is the bucket on this?
It's probably a 2-yard bucket.
Okay.
It's standard size.
How wide?
Probably, I'd say 3.5, 4 foot wide.
Okay.
But it has a skid steer detachable where you can actually attach a set of forks. Which if we need to haul timbers or something, we can just throw some forks on there and take care of that. But it's more than capable of hauling gravel for patching holes or moving dirt or what have you.
Is it a 61 horsepower? I can't remember how Mahindra numbers their stuff. Or is it
It's-
26? Or is that even relevant to horsepower when they're numbering?
I think it's, I gave you guys an attachment sheet, I can't remember what it was. You said,
I think I took mine home.
oh,
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay. We need to sit there. So you make 2 quick shoot down back.
It's 12-foot wide swaps plus the trail.
Uh-huh. Yes.
That's what I'm worried about, it's too small.
Too small. Okay.
Really, you need one of those ones that the state's got, boom.
Or just a sickle motor or something, sickle.
Could.
Well, you could do a brush hog with a sickle.
Would be less.
see, it's a 3-cylinder motor, I'm not sure exactly the horsepower.
It's about 3-cylinder.
I have the schematics.
Okay.
But the county owned it.
Is it across the top, all those numbers up top?
It's 38 horsepower.
38 horsepower.
So that's decent horsepower. Okay.
Yeah, I went specifically for a machine that would handle that kind of terrain and equipment.
Yeah.
And not oversized.
My concern is that the brush hog isn't wide enough. Okay.
For 4 foot.
And at 4 foot, typically, I would think you want to use something around 6 feet.
I don't
I've
think
had
this-
brush hogs
this-
myself.
This probably spent 5, probably didn't spend 6.
Yeah,
I can see a 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say a 5. Four's just, it's way too small.
Well, we could,
Did you ask them, does their spec, will it handle a 5 foot? Do you know?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
See,
4-wheel drive.
it's,
Okay.
see usually the typical width on the trail itself is 8 to 10 feet. And then you have ditch lines.
Yeah.
The main mowing is on the main surface itself.
Right.
And it's, which is fine, which you usually have to make 2 or 3 passes on the trail to get it.
Right.
So you don't go into ditches or nothing, because that's too hard on the equipment, you'll tear something up. You know, this is mainly based on clearing the trail itself. And usually springtime is the best time to get back in before all the brushy stuff starts growing in again. That way you can see the areas that you can get into that you can't in the spring with your brush hog, clear that. So this is mostly based on keeping the trail itself open.
What's your average width of that trail? What's
8 to
your-
10
8 to 10. So 5 would be good.
So a 5 would be up and back. You know
Right.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? 4's gonna be up, back, up, back.
Right.
Yeah, for 16 miles.
Yeah.
On a tractor.
So, yeah.
Do we need to, if we were to buy something like this, do we need to put this to bid? Do we need to come up with a spec and put it out to bid, like we did the ATVs?
Well, if the nonprofit is buying it and you're just giving them a grant basically, then it's just a contribution to them, so no, but it would be prudent to get at least 3, from their standpoint and your standpoint, to get 3 solicitations at least.
Yeah.
But it's not required because they're not a county or a state agency.
Yeah. I think it's probably our best thing.
Well, maybe what you do is you go back and get 3 proposals or what have you with your 5 foot brush hog. If that's acceptable with them,
5 foot brush hog.
you're requesting 5.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on June 1st, we can get that taken care of.
Okay, we're getting there. Okay.
Need 3 separate proposals.
And this,
Well, you have one, so you
Yeah,
just
Well,
want
2 more, right?
yeah, and this tractor itself, it says here in a 3 or 4 cylinder, so you can upgrade the engine in these 2.
Yes.
Of course, my 3 cylinder does as well as my 4 cylinder.
Increased cost.
Yeah.
It's just how it's geared, and it is geared transmission, not
Yes.
high tech.
Yeah,
That makes a big
not a
difference.
fan of hydrostatic,
Okay.
especially rough terrain.
Right.
All right.
I would say we're definitely open to this, but I would go ahead and get the specs of a 5 foot brush hog
Yeah.
and a couple more bids, and then just to make sure.
We think it'll cut the time use on the machine down, which will make it so much easier on labor. Down and
Right.
back.
Well, it makes your tractor last longer and everything.
Everything. Okay.
32 miles of brush hog is a lot.
Yeah. Really is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Or it's rough.
Thank you.
But I will definitely get those and get the information back in before next session.
Okay.
Very good. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
No,
much.
thank you.
I'll give it to you later on the other stuff.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah.
Pay a good bit of money.
Recording in progress.
Okay. You can go ahead.
Okay, I'm here to present Clark Harrison's estate. I was just going to give you a little update as to what we have done with the estate before we present it to you and the heirs. Clark Harrison died on 2/15/22. Philip Harrison, son of Clark Harrison was nominated by Clark Harrison's children. Mr. Harrison was not married at the time of death. The family appointed him on, nominated him on 2/18/22. After getting a bond and getting appointed, that would have been 2/24. The will was presented on 3/23/22 by Annabelle Ramsey. When the will was presented, I did call Philip and discuss what needed to be done. And on 3/29, I sent him a letter with a settlement to be returned by 4/15, which he did do. Once the settlement was met, Annabelle was called and to probate the estate. Once she started probate, the heirs were notified, and Janice Messenger was one of the daughters of Clark Harrison, submitted a letter to contest the will. Also enclosed, you will see a letter from Julie Nees, also agreeing with Julie Messenger. And you have copies of all that.
Okay.
What day did he pass away?
I got
February.
2/15/22, yeah, February 15th.
Yeah, I will. Anyone who wants to speak to that, I'd like to swear you in, just raise your hand, or, okay? Anyone who wants to speak, okay? And just follow after me. You want-
Is there anyone? If you would, please stand if you want to speak here.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Then you can raise your right hand.
That's fine. All right. All right. I do solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Okay. All right. The reason for the contestment is, you weren't born yet, am I correct on that? Who am I, who's?
She's not here. Janice has, she has her hand up. The
Pardon?
lady who did the objection isn't here.
Okay, all right. All right.
What's your name, ma'am?
Susie Ann. 80.
Okay.
Okay. Would you like to?
Oh, yeah. After my father passed away, me and my 4 siblings met on the property and discussed what its future purpose meant to us. We all agreed to keep the land in the family and use it for family reunions, holidays, and gatherings. We discussed cleaning up the property and restoring it so that we could all enjoy it for years to come. I have fond memories of growing up there, such as wandering through the fields and picking apples from the apple trees, as well as scouting for blackberries. We would spend entire days down by the creek, only coming home to get an occasional snack. I would like for my children and my grandchildren to share the same kind of memories, and the land to remain intact, especially the wooded acres where our fondest memories are.
Is this Janice?
No.
Okay. All right. This is.
Anyone else want to speak?
Well, I would want to be administrator.
If you'd state your name.
Oh, Annabelle Ramsey.
Okay, thank you.
So I could do what's best for the family
Okay.
and to settle the bills. All that has to be taken care of. before you can sell the land, because it all, that's the way it goes. You have to stands good for the bills,
Okay.
so that's,
If you would state your name.
I'm Carlene Connell.
Okay.
I just wanted, am I allowed to comment on my sister's contesting a will? Am I allowed to?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
She commented in her contest that she lives on the property, and it's just my strong belief that I don't believe she's living on the property. I think she's trying to step in and claim something more than is her entitlement. And, I'm the oldest child. I'm the one that was actually named in the will, because I was the only child living at the time that the will was made. But I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters who were left out, and I just, you know, I want to see them get something too. And
Okay,
that's all I want to say.
all right, thank you.
If there's no dispute, I mean, I don't know if there's a dispute here today.
Mhm.
There is a legal remedy for these folks who were left out of the will. The will was written in 1970.
Mhm.
After that, he had children. They're called pretermitted children, or forgotten children. And there's specific provision in the code that allows them to come in and take an intestate share. That's a will contest, and will contest has to be done in circuit court. If there's no dispute, though, they can handle it among themselves what an intestate share would be. I mean, if he died with 4 children, they would each be entitled to a fourth of the property. Now, there's a question if there are debts to be taken care of. I didn't see that the executrix has the right to sell real estate, so that she can't do that unless she gets circuit court approval also. So the issue, if there is a dispute, has to be resolved in a will contest in circuit court.
Okay. I think that answers the question, okay, and gives you some answers too, in which direction you need to go there, okay? And I wish you well.
And just to be clear, they're specifically statutorily entitled, if they can show they're natural children of the decedent, they're entitled to an intestate share. It would be better, it'd save them a lot of money and a lot of time if they could just get together and resolve those without having to file a lawsuit.
Okay.
And intestate shares, it's just divided equally among the children.
Okay. And that
The state, everybody was deceased that's mentioned in the will, except for you, right? Annabelle? So there were several heirs, as you can, on the front, so I don't know what they're.
Well, I mean, that's how, if they can't
Yeah.
resolve it themselves, they have 6 months to file a will contest.
And this is Janice who was contesting the will.
Yeah, I apologize for being late. I had an uncooperative puppy dog that didn't want to get in the vehicle.
You want to swear her in?
Yeah, go ahead and raise your hand.
All right.
I do solemnly swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I do.
Okay. All right. Basically, you want to, I'll let you go ahead and speak, ma'am, but then I'll let Greg give you some information too that the others have already heard. Okay?
Well,
Do you want to speak? about-
Yes, I do. I speak that the property is in my dad's and my mom's name. It's listed as a deed, an agreement, and my understanding is that when a person passes away and the land is listed as both man's and the woman's, and they didn't settle it in a divorce, it then passes to that spouse, and that spouse, you know, the one that dies, can't pass that land on to another person because it doesn't fully belong to them.
She's talking about a boundary agreement that both names were on.
But in the tax department downstairs, they said that Dad combined all that land in that deed and agreement, and that's the one that stands.
Well, they're going to have to hire lawyers. And that's a circuit court issue.
Okay. You want to go ahead and mention what you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, there's a specific, the will was done in 1970. I don't know whether it was a survivorship deed is what you would be referring to. or not, if this was in Mr. Harrison's name solely at the time he passed away, leaving this as his only will, with children who were born after, they have a claim under state law which has to be asserted in circuit court unless everybody can agree. County Commission is the probate court, but it doesn't have jurisdiction in will contest matters. Now, if there was a survivorship deed, that may change everything, and that hasn't been presented, so we don't know that. What a survivorship deed means is, even had there been a divorce, if it was in the husband and wife's name with rights of survivorship, when one passed away, the entire interest in the property vested in the survivor. I don't know if that's the case or not because we haven't seen that deed.
Okay. And you might also mention the part about the unborn children where they.
Yeah, they're prohibited, well, it's a fancy word for forgotten children. And there's a specific statute that allows them what's called an intestate share, depending on the number of heirs of Mr. Harrison's estate. But again, that has to be asserted in circuit court as a will contest,
Unless they can work it out.
unless you can work it out.
Okay.
And I would recommend that you try to work it out because a will contest is expensive.
Okay.
They do have rights.
All right. And like I say,
Yes. Should I continue paying any bills or anything now?
Well, I mean, if the bills don't get paid, if there's money in the estate and the bills don't get paid, then utilities and things will be shut off, and that's not going to be good to preserve the estate. So you have a duty to preserve the estate.
Right, and then if I'm still administrator, then I need to assess, get in there and write down what's on the property. But so far, I've been blocked, and the trailer where Clark lived in, there's 4 dogs pinned up, and the trailer's locked. I can't.
In the train,
Yes.
I would send a humane officer to check that out.
I was told by the sheriff's department that I'm allowed to keep my dad's dogs in there as long as I'm taking care of them. I let them out through the day and I put them up at night. I feed them and I give them water. They are being taken care of. And they are being paid taxes on.
all right.
They're going to, they're not, it doesn't sound like they're in agreement, so they're going to have to.
You have to get an attorney and go to circuit court. Okay, if you can't work it out.
If the land is in my mom's name, why should I have to get a lawyer?
Well, because the other folks also have rights. Okay, and that's what we just said. You missed a little bit of this by being late, but they also have rights. Okay, and that's why I say you need to settle this. Okay, if you can work it out amongst yourselves, then you'll save a lot of attorney fees and stay out of circuit court. Okay?
Okay, if my mom has it, can she not give the rights to us kids?
Yes, this
That would have to be a question for a lawyer.
that's another question.
And the assessor's office can't give you legal advice, so.
Okay?
And I'm sure they did.
Okay.
Okay, if my mom owns the land, would that not do away with the will?
The will is, I can't say that.
Right.
Okay?
That'd be a question for a lawyer.
That's another question. Okay? Because this is just the will of this person. Okay?
In fact, you don't have jurisdiction on that issue, that would be again circuit court.
Mm-hmm.
You're a probate court, so all they can do is hear anything other as it relates to estates, but they cannot hear will contests. That's reserved to the circuit court.
Okay. So like I say, you need to either work it out or go to circuit court.
May I
Okay.
ask who's over the circuit court? Who the judge will be?
Judge Callahan.
Mhm. Okay.
Do we need to make a motion of no action? Or?
There is no action
There's
to
no
take.
action.
There's no action.
There's no action to
be
be
taken.
taken.
Okay. Like I say, you'll have to discuss or take it to circuit court. That'll be enough. When you guys can decide.
As far as I'm concerned, the land belongs to my mom and dad. That's,
Yeah. that's, like you say, you folks just need to work it out, or go to court. If you can't work it out, go to court, okay? All right.
Final question. If we could work it out, who do we contact and how does that work?
Well, you're gonna have to, regardless, you're gonna have to have an attorney somewhere along the line that can represent you, okay? And go from there, because that's the legal work that you're gonna have to have.
So what if my mom doesn't have that? What if all land was purchased before they were married? Would that?
That's another question for a lawyer.
That's another question for an attorney, okay?
And I know I keep saying that, and I apologize for it, but that is the unfortunate
We are
situation.
restricted on what we can hear,
Absolutely.
okay? And what we can decide on. And that's why we're saying, you're still gonna need it.
From these deeds, it looks like the property belonged to Mr. Harris.
Okay.
There's no transfer of any ownership to,
They combined all the land in the deed and the agreement, and that stood good for all the land.
not according to this.
Well, that's what the tax department said.
Okay. That's all we can do today for you. So we can give you a remedy for this. Okay? But you guys are gonna have to go elsewhere.
Yes, am I still the administrator?
She would be, and
She
I
would
mean,
be.
until such times the circuit court rules that she's not.
Otherwise.
And to get in there and to write down everything, the driveway's blocked and everything, what do I do?
Well, you have a duty as the administrator. You cannot sell real estate. You have a duty as administrator to inventory the assets and preserve the assets until the issues can be resolved.
Right, but I sell what, like there's tractors and there's old cars that needs rid of. Do I do anything?
I wouldn't get rid of anything until that's,
Until it's resolved?
Oh, no. It's going to court. You're not selling anything at all, period. It belongs to Dad.
Then I don't need to write down
you have a duty to
what's on the
inventory.
property.
You have a duty to inventory the assets and preserve them until.
Then how would I get in the driveway when there are cars?
It belongs to Dad and Mom. The
Well, I
land
mean,
is, it's going to court.
Then if the car, well, you're gonna have to hire an attorney is what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
I represent the commission.
Okay.
You won't be allowed on the property till it's settled in court.
Well, that's probably not the law, but you need to talk to an attorney.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. Then that's it.
Yep.
Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Hi there. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. So we have Chelsea Beaver with the Children's Advocate Center with a funding request. You have the floor.
Thank you. So our center is primarily funded by we're nonprofits, so we're primarily funded by two different grant sources, and one's a federal grant known as the VOCA grant, and then the other is a state grant, just the CAC state grant that all CACs in the state receive funding through. And so nationally, the VOCA grant is being cut, so we're all being affected by that, and our center stands to lose $25,487. And we've currently already lost $2,600 from our state grant. And so my executive director, who could not be here today, asked that I come and speak with you to ask for funding assistance for $25,000 to ensure we can maintain operational costs such as rent, utilities, insurance, travel, things like that.
Okay.
Now, would that cover the rest of the financial year currently? Or where's the 25,000 coming?
Yeah, it will be for the following fiscal year that would start in July.
Okay.
So now, good.
For the public, will you explain what the Children's Advocate Center does?
Yeah, sure. So the Children's Advocacy Center, we work as a multidisciplinary team. And so we partner with agencies like law enforcement. So we have agreements with the Sheriff's Department, State Police, and Somersville Police Department. We work with Child Protective Services, mental health, medical, victim advocates. And so what we do is we receive referrals from investigators, from the prosecuting attorney's office, law enforcement, or child protective services, and they request that we provide what is called a forensic interview for children when there is suspected child abuse or neglect occurring. And so I'm a forensic interviewer. I'm the coordinator and then the primary forensic interviewer. So I interview the children in a neutral, just fact-finding way, and that interview is video recorded so that should investigators have questions after the interview, they would refer to that interview instead of having to speak to the child again. So what they found, really, the birth of children's advocacy centers came from the fact that when kids were disclosing abuse and neglect, they really were being re-victimized by having to tell multiple people over and over again. And so that's really where the birth of children's advocacy centers come from. And so we're known mostly for providing forensic interviews, but we also help ensure that that child receives services that they need. So sometimes we don't even provide a forensic interview, but we still provide the family or the child with medical exams such as sexual assault, nurse examinations. If there's physical abuse, we'll send them for exams for that as well. Mental health, we partner with Seneca here in town, and if sometimes we interview kids that are out of county, so we partner with different agencies to just ensure that children don't fall through the cracks, that we're providing them with the best practices, and ensuring that we try to get ahead of the trauma before it gets to a point that they're suffering long term.
I've seen children before in the office that have been removed from homes.
Yeah, it's devastating.
And due to severe abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And the state has taken over them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
reasons did they give you for cutting your funds?
So I actually had stepped away for about a year and a half when all of this was kind of occurring, and I'm not actually sure what the reason is for the VOCA cut. Robin, which is the director, would know more about that. She kind of handles all of the funding, and I handle the more day-to-day operations of the center, so I'm not really sure as to why there is a national cut.
So it's not just your center, but it's
No, it's
nationwide.
nationally. Yeah, everybody who receives funding through that Victims of Crime Act is feeling the effects of it.
What was the reason for the $2,600 loss from the state grant?
I don't know.
Just their budgeting, probably.
Yeah, Robin just let me know and asked that I relay that to you, but I'm not really sure myself. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Are there any other grants that you all could be going after? Because I mean, this is a one-year fix, and I understand the, you know, the need for the late notice for the loss of your VOCA grant. But do you have any plans
Yeah,
going
so
forward?
Robin for sure does other grants throughout the year that she applies for. I have started that as well, applying for things to try to just supplement where we can if we would have to move funds around. Like I had applied for a grant for rental assistance through the National Children's Advocacy Center. And so there are different avenues. It's just getting those grants as well. But it's not like everything would just rely on this. There are other grant opportunities that we would still go after and try to obtain.
Yeah. The 25,000, is that, are they still granting you money? They just reduced it by that much?
Yes, sir.
Could you give us the amount that you're still granting you? You know what that is?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
But there's a loss of $25,487 on the federal side.
Yes.
That's what my question was.
Okay, yeah.
And how much were they, or how much are they still getting was my question.
I believe it's around 70 to 80,000, somewhere in there.
All right.
Do you know the total fiscal year budget for your center? Okay,
I mean, I know it's around 100,000.
okay, okay. Understood.
Did you get any kind of COVID dollars or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We also try to do fundraising as well for the center. Like every
I understand.
fall, we do the No Shade for the Brave, where we partner with local police departments, but it doesn't generate a ton of revenue.
Who is your director?
Her name is Robin Brown.
Okay.
Can you, and this is gonna sound pretty straightforward, but that's the way I am. Can you come back when you're more prepared
Yes,
and
sir.
answer our questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. And she might even be back. She's just out of the office for a period of time right now, and it probably would have been more beneficial for her to come, but she just wanted me to at least try. But I just don't have this information. I just don't work on the financial side of it.
Understood.
But yeah, I can ask either that she provides me with this information or that she comes herself.
Yeah,
We'd appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
because we always have questions. Okay.
Well, I assumed. I was like, I'm not gonna know. Sorry. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. See, how can we do
Huh?
Back on?
Yeah, we'll come back on and do that.
Recording in progress.
Okay, at the request of Commissioner Cole, we're revisiting a tax refund dispute with Carol Wright from Caterpillar Financial. Okay.
Since the last time we talked about this, our legal counsel has provided a letter that was sent to Caterpillar Financial explaining our position with no response. And so, I mean, of course, with our discussions from last meeting, it'd just be my motion to deny the request for a cash refund and reaffirm the issue of the credit to be given towards Caterpillar Financial.
Okay. So I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? The motion does carry. Okay. Now, take a break. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Carl, we'll go ahead and start. Yeah, you're up.
Yeah, I'm coming before you, Commissioner, give you all.
I'll pass them down if you like. There's more.
Okay.
There's two there.
All right.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just go ahead and do these other ones too.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, yeah, okay.
I'll give you four.
Okay.
Actually, no, I should have had one, so I read it. I wanted to come before the county commission to see if you could help the seniors out, and I think you ought to read that before we continue. It's just a very short paragraph there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at the Craigville Senior Center for 18 years as the president. We operate on our own. We get no money from the community action. No money. They pay no bills.
Okay.
State helps us, but it's been a long time since the county commission has helped us.
It's true.
Back in, I think it was Jinx Hinkle, little Odell, and can't remember who else was in there. So there's three of them. They made a thing years ago. Patty remembers it. They used to give us $5,000 every year. Then when everything dried up with the taxes for the coal mines and everything, the county
Coal
commission had a
service.
rough time trying to make it. I didn't ask for money, but every year I've sent a letter over begging for a little bit of money to help us out. But we do raise funds, and we don't depend on you to do it. I've never said I had to depend on you. But this COVID thing has kicked her behind him. We had no hot dog sale, we had nothing else going on. We are a business. We do pay for a business license. I mean, we are a small business. We have a rummage room, which was closed due to the pandemic. We couldn't have anything for fundraising for 2 years, 3 years. And it's finally got loose where we can, begin to support ourselves. And I think about everybody sitting here, maybe Mr. Kohler, but you know, I come bum a lot, trying to get fundraisers or have hot dog sales every year, and every fundraiser I can do, but this thing here kicked us hard. And I figure if any of you's in business or been in it, you know what it's like.
That's true. Okay.
And that's just, I just wanted a little bit of help, and if you could help us, sure would be appreciated. Patty
What-
knows I've knocked on her door many times.
What's the reason for no involvement with community action?
All Community Action Furnish does is a van, cook, and the food. For 18 years I've been there, they've never helped us to pay any utilities or anything.
Are
Never.
they supposed to?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Well, I mean, the idea is behind it is they have no control over us. That's why we can go ahead with the fundraisers, our second Sunday dinners, and what we have going on to make
I can
it.
see that too.
We don't depend on nobody. As you can read there,
So you're technically a business and not a nonprofit?
yeah, we're nonprofit.
I know you are, so you are nonprofit?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
nonprofit.
you said you had a business license, so.
Well, I don't know why, but every year we get a letter from the state.
Okay,
down there.
well, yeah, that's probably for your nonprofit status.
But we pay them $25 every year.
Right.
And I've been trying to get out of there since I've been in there. But, you
Once
all
you're in the
time-
system.
I see you all the time talk about, you know, your fire department all being out there. We was out here during that pandemic every day. People at the centers got fed. We didn't let them come in, we stood outside. And the weather made sure we come by, you got a lunch. We still delivered lunches to everybody that had lunches coming every day, even during the pandemic. I was there every day. And I get food from Mountaineer Food Bank every month, so people in between that can't have food, we don't ask no questions. I get out food to and I go pick them up on my own. I don't charge nobody. Do it on my own, take my own trailer, my own car, everything, pick it up.
Thank you for what you're doing.
But I've been doing it for, ever since Mountaineer Food Bank let us get in there and get food. We put in our order and pick it up, so anybody can come in there and pick up food. But it's just got to the point that we just need a little bit of help. Patty knows it. We have a good working relationship, and so does we do with Bureau of Signal Services. It's the fact, the Bureau of Signal Services, we done the best. Turned in our reports. We had to count billing for everything. We bragged on Patty and myself how everything, you should do what you're supposed to do, not do what you need to get by with. And Mr. Chapman there, he's helped me out in the past, and so did Dr. Atkins. And when I go by my money, I ain't ashamed. We need the help.
How much are you looking for?
I think I put on there
$5,000.
$5,000. And,
Do you apply for any grants?
yeah. Yeah, I get a few grants. I don't sit back and wait. I run out here to different things. There, whether I can get any money, I'm under the rock.
It's in here.
But the insurance thing was, you had mentioned to me, a meeting once, that you had paid our insurance, which you never, and that's why I asked you, this is the second half. On the insurance there, I paid the first half, was able to get enough money to pay the first half. We'd like to have assistance on paying our insurance on the second half.
That's on top of the 5,000?
Yeah. But we'll settle things, you give me any money. In the letter, I always say, if you can give it to me, you can. If you can't, that's fine.
All right.
I mean, I haven't never come for a long time. Mostly, I used to bring 15 people when I come in here.
I understand.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve $5,000 out of ARP funds.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Anyone against?
appreciate it.
Motion does carry, Carl.
Okay. Well,
Thank you for what you're doing
Well,
for those areas,
I don't know
those
how many
people in the
more years I
community.
can keep it up.
Now you can say I did something for you, Carl.
Huh?
Now you can say I did something for you, Carl.
I don't know. You knew that I was going to run for county commission. I don't know if you all knew that or not.
No, I didn't.
Thank you.
Well, I had a heart stipulation and had to go pick up the emergency room. and I waited till the last minute. Patty goes and gets it. I was wanting to do that, but I've been too old. If I hadn't got it, I've been 80 years old sitting back here.
Thank you, Carl.
All right, we appreciate you all. Anything we can do for you, come on over and eat with us.
Okay,
Good to see you, Carl.
Thank you.
sounds good.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
This morning we have Joe Hammer, President of the Nicholas County, or the Nicholas Old Main Foundation, requesting financial assistance for building projects. You guys have the floor.
I had some more of those. And what I got. I'm Joe Hamrick, and I'm here to represent the Nicholas Old Main Foundation. This is Alvin Rose. He is a new member. He was a 65 graduate from the Nicholas County High School. We were here in September of 21, and we asked for help with their heating and air conditioning units. We could not find a company in Nicholas County to give us an estimate other than one, and it was $40,000 more than the estimate we got from Childers and Beckman. We were able to secure funds to get the first phase of that done. We're very pleased with what has been done. We are not going to continue with the second phase of it. We are going to go with a different route that we will be discussing in the fall. What we're here today for is we need to work on the basement floor in the old main. The water seepage over the years has caused the concrete to crumble. I have several pictures in here of damage. The first two pictures are of damage to the floor done by the water, and we feel it's not safe for the public to be walking on. You have to cross that to get to the chairlift. The second picture, the first picture is a hole, actual hole in the floor where the men's restroom is. The second picture is the hallway leading from the outside door that a handicapped person would have to come in. And if you're on crutches or a cane, and I know from experience, it's very easy to fall and get hurt. I haven't fallen, but I've been close. The rest of the pictures are damage that was done when we had the demolition done to put the heating and air conditioning in there. All that has been repaired. That was the boiler room where we had the old boiler removed and 2 new heating units put in it. That is a picture of the hall where the old registers were, the radiators were taken out. You can see the mold down along the bottom of it. We removed those. One of the registers was sitting clear on the floor. That is the pipe that went into the old boiler. I mean, nothing could have gotten through it if we had been
Pretty
able
bad
to
shape,
turn it
wasn't it?
back on.
Yeah.
So what we're asking for, you have their proposal from Rick and Son Contracting, who is a Nicholas County company. He would rent a grinder. He would take the, grind the old concrete down. He would put new on top of it. He would repair all of the holes. And the very top figure of $1,200 is to add an epoxy over top of the new concrete that they tell us is basically maintenance free for long periods of time. And under that epoxy there is going to be a picture of the old main that you can walk over. You've probably seen them in different areas, different buildings where they have that, where they have those on the floors. This estimate was from Rick. He has done all of the maintenance, all the repair up there. The total amount we need for this would be $26,400 plus the $1,200 to put the epoxy on top of that.
176.
If you have any questions, Alvin and I will try to answer them.
Well, I was by and saw what you had done. And I saw it before, it looks really good what you did get
We'd
done.
love for you, all of you,
Okay?
to come up and come and see our drapes. Did you see our drapes before? Okay. They had never been cleaned before. Well, I thought they were pretty the way they were, but you should see them now. They sparkle.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
blue. Yeah. The drapes on the windows couldn't be cleaned, but they have been vacuumed.
You might tell them that there's a gospel sing up there at 6 o'clock Saturday night, they might want to attend.
That would be a good chance for you to come up and we'll take a look at the building.
6
If you'd
p.m.
come a little bit early.
this Saturday.
This Saturday, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. And it's good, and with us being on TV too, this helps get this out for you. Okay?
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. And there is no charge, it is donations only for the gospel sing.
That's good.
We hope to draw some people in to take a look at the building. We took the radiators out of the auditorium and put 6 or 7 registers on each side under the windows and built pretty cabinets around them, and
They've
it looks
done a lot.
nice.
Very good. Well, the only thing that worries me is when you talk about the epoxy, that being an old floor, there's moisture underneath there, and it's gonna blow that epoxy right off the floor.
Is it?
Yes. There probably needs to be, I don't know what the right terminology would be, but a little more experienced person who knows flooring in the sense of moisture and things like that. Moisture can cause you really serious problems in flooring. In places up there where you have paint now and the paint chips off and stuff like that, that's comes from moisture. And whenever you have moisture that's coming from underneath, and that's where it is, because back in the day they never used plastic and stuff under it, so that moisture builds up to the point, and then when you cover it up, it just builds up stronger, then it just blows it off the floor.
Yeah. It was my understanding that there was water lines that ran underneath the floor with the old boiler there that broke, and that a lot of the concrete has been torn up. We don't have that now because we have gas and electric,
Right.
and there is nothing
But you
like
still
that
have ground.
before, but we're
Well, you
Ground
still might not
straight
have
on.
the moisture.
You have ground moisture. It's a serious problem that I fight all the time. That's the way I know it. And I'm afraid you're going to waste $25,000 right here by not putting something down that's going to not be affected by that. So what you probably should do is look at putting down fixing those holes like a patch or something like that, then going and putting like a floating type floor that won't be affected by moisture. That's probably what you're going to have to do. I mean, you can do this, but you're only doing a few.
We would still have to grind down the concrete and get it smooth to put anything over it, wouldn't we?
It depends on how much it rolls.
If it's
or-
fairly level,
It just.
you could get by without that.
It's really not.
It's not, well, you might be your high spots at least.
I really would love for you all to come up and look at it.
Yeah. Well, and maybe Craig, that's something, we all go up there, if you could help advise them on what exactly to do.
That would be wonderful if you could do that, and I'll meet you
I'd be
up there
glad to do that.
anytime. Alan
You can take some moisture tests, and that's pretty simple to do, and see what kind of moisture you got coming through there and things like that. But with you not having a vapor barrier, and they just didn't do it years ago,
Yeah.
I'm afraid you're going to spend a lot of money for no reason.
One thing the air conditioner is doing is pulling a lot of moisture out of the building.
Yeah.
You can tell a lot of difference since the AC is working.
Yeah.
That's good.
I can see that, yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. So we're making progress. We just want to make sure we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work. The big holes that were in the walls, big radiators that were on the ceiling and had to come down that weighed 850 pounds.
Wow.
It's a lot of effort's been put into it, but we want to do it right. We want to do something that is low maintenance and that we can actually do. So any help you can give us, we would appreciate it. And it sounds like we need you to come up and look and talk to us.
Okay. We will.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And then
Thank
we'll
you
go
very
from there.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
About the other stuff first.
Yes,
We need
absolutely.
to.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. Uh-huh.
Recording in progress.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
go ahead.
So the first order of what I'd like to discuss would be our donations for the animal shelter. The first paper I've provided to you guys is a printout from the sheriff's accounting system. As of right now, we have $9,205.75 that are just solely in donations to the animal shelter. I have a $3,000 donation at the shelter right now that I received from the tractor bar on Sunday, and that is solely for a spay-neuter fund. As of right now, we do not have a way to access these donations at the shelter. It's all just going into the general county fund. So I've spoken with Bobby about it, and his proposal, and I think what would be the best idea would be to make a line in our budget so we can use this, but have a separate account just for the donations. Because as of right now, my understanding is they are at the end of every fiscal year, where they're in the general funding, they're getting divided up into everyone else's budgets as well. So,
Now like this 3,000 for the spay and neuter, you don't have a line for it either, do you?
no, because this is,
So should you do that on both?
My suggestion right now is not to do a separate account or anything. It'll still go in general county, but there will be a subset, like, we would revise her budget here.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that paper?
On this?
This one. At the bottom of her budget, I put a line in there that says animal shelter donation.
Yes.
So
That is good.
we would revise this line to reflect that there's this much money in it. And
So
then
that would keep it in the,
And we keep it in her budget
from now.
solely. And then at the end of each year, whatever's left over, we would roll into the next budget.
if we remember to do that.
Yeah, well.
That's a big if though, Bobby.
I mean, I think we can remember.
You can do that, yeah, okay. Yeah, because you know specifically it is a line item.
Right.
Okay, and do it. Okay, I'm good with that.
And doing that would make it accessible for the upgrades to the facilities and the stuff they want to do with it.
Okay, so what about grant funding? Because I am working on getting like a $37,000 grant. That would be in October. How are we gonna access those funds when we need them? Like during the fiscal year? Because if we're doing this in the budget, isn't that the beginning of each new year? Am I gonna lose $12,000 at the beginning, like at the end of this fiscal year on June 30th? And it's just
Not
gonna
with the
start at
rollover.
zero?
That's what
Okay,
I'm
it's
saying,
gonna
whatever's
roll?
Right.
in that
Okay.
line.
Right.
That
Okay,
specific, the rest of your line items will zero out. You
okay,
can start with whatever they've approved. That one specific line for donations, you would start
Stays.
out the next year with what you.
okay.
What you ended.
Yeah,
It would
that's,
disappear.
okay,
Right.
fantastic.
Or roll into something else.
But you need to
remember to tell him to roll it
And that's all purpose,
Okay.
it's good.
But
Well,
that keeps us from having another bank account. Yeah, and I think it
Keep
keeps
track of it.
everybody safe.
Right, okay,
I'm good with that.
that's fine. If it just
And
stays.
you all,
Now-
you all can't really have your own bank account because they have to sign
Oh,
off.
sure. Now, on the 3,000 for the spay and neuter and the 30 whatever thousand,
I can keep all
how
that.
does she need to do those grants? Do they need to have a separate account?
We can do a separate account if you want, or you can just take them out of that same line and you keep
That's
track
because
of it.
I'm totally comfortable with keeping all the funding separate and having, I can do my own accounting for each thing.
have
And keep everything
3,000.
separate with receipts and showing what's coming out
At
of it.
$6,000 in that line, you're gonna know that 3 of it's for
Mhm.
donations, 3 of it's for a grant.
Yeah, and what my plan is, especially with the spay and neuter, is just go ahead and get up to $3,000 at the vet's office with that, and then just go forward, do a purchase order to have you guys write them a check.
Okay.
So that way it's all the receipts are in the same place, everything's accounted for.
So since you've already added this line item, do we need to take an action? Or is that,
Not really, it was just to discuss what to do.
Okay, okay. Okay.
so that's okay with you all?
Yeah, that would work out perfectly if it just goes into our budget, that's wonderful.
That's fine. Okay,
Very good.
all right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You wanna make a,
What should I call it matter?
It looks to me like, I don't know enough about it yet, but it looks to me like it's a legal matter.
Okay.
Yes,
Concerning a legal matter concerning the animal shelter, I'd like to move into an executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 6-9A-3 and 4. And it'll be my request that we retain legal counsel, the director and the humane officer, and Director McGinnis in the room, please.
And Kuchar,
And Officer Kuchar, if you'd like.
I need a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Before, I'd like a motion, point of discussion, that no decisions were made during the time of executive session.
Okay, that's good. You're right. Okay, now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Motion does carry. We're now out of executive session. Okay. Our next one is the first reading to consider a proposed ordinance authorizing and approving the design, acquisition, construction, improvement, furnishing, and equipment of real property acquired by the Nicholas County Building Commission for use as an emergency response public safety facility by the Nicholas County Commission of its lease revenue bonds in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $4 million, otherwise known as the bonds, and authorizing other necessary actions in connection with the foregoing.
Just to be clear, I'm not sure of any other, I talked to John Stump yesterday, and I'm not sure if there's any other actions that I know of. So it's just a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance.
Okay.
And this is on file for the public record if anybody wants a copy, so they are
Okay.
available to the public. And I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the first reading of this proposed ordinance, and also to approve the first reading of this proposed ordinance.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Motion does carry. Okay. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Okay. Either of you commissioners have a statement or anything you want to say?
I'd just like to recognize all in and out of county fire and police departments who were active in Deputy Lawson's funeral, Deputy and Fireman Lawson's funeral last night. It was very impressive. It was a good showing, and I know the family was very appreciative. So, and Director McGinnis and Chief Tommy Coleman both did an excellent job as well.
And not only the funeral, but for the entire thing of transporting from Charleston, all of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, all
absolutely.
of that. And Nicholas County is very appreciative to the state, and especially our people.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll entertain a motion. Does that adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Motion does carry. Okay.